Welcome back. As we promised, we are going to continue our coverage of this week's celebration. On the 25th of January, we celebrate our National Police Day. Yesterday, it was a big ceremony. It was a big celebration attended by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, by a number of ministers, and by the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, and Imam Al-Akbar Sheikh Ahmed al-Tayyib, high-ranking officials. Well, there was a lot to speak about. The speech of the President, the messages sent whether by the President or by Minister of Interior Mahmoud Tawfiq in his speech, by honoring the security or the police officers with medals of honor, by honoring the names of our martyrs, a lot. Well, to shed more light on this, we are very much delighted to have with us General Dr. Ehab Youssef, a security and risk management expert. Well, thank you very much for being with us, sir. And first, before going into any details, happy Police Day.
Thank you, and I really appreciate being with you on such occasion. It's very emotional, it's very nationalistic. I think that people recognize the efficiency and the importance of the police, and that's why in each year they do celebrate with them. Yeah. And I go with what you said, that the event yesterday, or the celebration yesterday, it was very well organized and everybody spoke very highly about it.
Yes. And General Youssef, when it comes to the 25th of January, before going to what happened yesterday and to the ceremony, let's have a brief or a quick look at why the 25th of January, because this is our duty to tell particularly the new generations why the 25th of January and what happened in 1952 with 50 of our police personnel who were martyred or sacrificed their souls for defending the dignity of the nation.
That's very true, and it's very important to continue delivering the message for the new generations to understand how dignity and how the importance of feeling that you have a pride to protect. On the 1952, before this incident, there were the British colony or the British Army were existing on the Suez Canal area, and the police officers with a lot of the people tried to do a lot of attacks on them to let them evacuate from this city. The UK Army or the British Army at the time surrounded the police station district and asked the police officers and sergeants and soldiers to
surrender.
Yes. The kind of weapon between the two parties was so much different. The army was having tanks and heavy weapon, while the police forces didn't have this kind of weapon. The number of people, the kind of equipment, everything was not in the favor of the police. So it was imagined, or the British Army imagined that when they asked them to get out of this building and leave it to the British Army, they will do that immediately, but this doesn't happen. And they kept fighting for hours and hours, till, as you said, a lot of them got injured and died. And at the same time, they lost all their weapons, they finished all the ammunition. By the time they came out of this building, the British Army saluted them in recognition of their efforts and the great integrity and the great pride they have, and it was very well recognized. So since then, we celebrate this day in recognition of these people, and in recognition of the concept itself, that people can die for their country, can die for their land, can die for their pride, and they do this willingly. And we see that this has been continually happening since 1952, or even before, but this is as a Memorial Day, since 1952 until now. Every soldier, army, police officer, even sergeant, anybody that's working on this area, willingly can give his life to this country, and he's going to be very proud
Amen to
of
that.
this.
But before leaving this scene, there is a scene which is really amazing, and till the moment when I even I'm even reminded with this scene when we knew that the occupation army, they saluted the corpses or saluted those who were moved from Al-Ismailia Directorate
Yes.
as showing respect to what they have done,
Exactly.
and saying to the whole world that those people are not from earth.
Yeah, they are heroes. Yes.
They are real heroes,
Yes.
and they should be respected this way.
Exactly.
Tell me about this scene and how we can teach our children this scene to feel that kind of pride with our heroes.
That's so much true, because even the people who are against you, even the countries who are against you, anybody that his interests are different than yours will respect you if you respect yourself and you protect your pride. And this is what happened. The interests were so much different. The British colony or the British army wanted to occupy the police district, and they asked them to leave it. They protected it with their blood, and they continue fighting for the sake of not releasing it easily, at least. And a lot of them died or got martyrs. So when they were the rest of them, and when they were getting out of the building, as you said, the British army saluted them in recognition of the pride and the integrity and of putting your life in danger for the protection of your
Knowing
country.
well that you're going to die,
Exactly.
but your soul, your life is nothing compared to the dignity of your homeland.
Exactly.
This is the lesson we should learn and we should teach our generations. Regarding yesterday and regarding the speech of the president first, there were many messages, there are many important points which were said. When you want to continue with progress, with development, you should protect your back. You should feel safe and secure. And this is the noble mission of our security personnel, the army and police. And here we are just saying a big thank you to the police forces. Would you please elaborate on that point, I mean?
That's very true, because when you look about a country to be able to develop themselves or to building infrastructure or having new investments that come to it, it has to be secured. People has to feel that this country is stable and secure. And this is one of the, I mean, this is the highest mission for the police forces that they have to do. When you go back to the President Sisi speech yesterday, it had several messages, as you kindly said, one of which is that Egypt has been protected because of the sacrifice of the police and the army during the last period, which is continuing to happen till now. And at the same time, the president gave a great recognition to the martyrs and their families and the people who got injured in the operation. And he said that the country will never forget them. This message is very important for several reasons. First is that you have to recognize the people who spend the effort or sacrifice for you. The country has to remember them and keep the families surrounded or protected by the country. At the same time, you give a message to the new or the coming generations that your country always remember the people who sacrifice for it. And this is very important, whether we talk about army, police, even civilians. Anybody who do something good for this country has to be recognized. So having said that, we are on the police day, and the amount of effort had been done during the last period is tremendous, during last years, but as we talk about last year especially, is tremendous. And this has been presented in the videos that the Ministry of Interior showed. Amount of
the documentaries, they were really very emotional and touchy. But before going to the documentaries, since you mentioned the martyrs, sir, there was no difference between a commissioner officer, a conscript, and a colonel, for example. They are all the same. And the way even President Abdel Fattah Sisi was dealing with the families of those who just came to honor their sons and to honor their husbands when it comes to wives, their parents when it comes to children, it was really also touchy and saying a lot from the head of a state.
I mean, it's a life at the end who have been given willingly to this country so we can continue our way. It's something very valuable for us, for the Egyptians, for the family of the martyrs. But as the president said yesterday, this very big sacrifice can be seen as an important milestone in building the country future for 100 million Egyptians that are looking forward to their future, not forgetting at any time the martyrs who did this to be able to take our way, or to be able to take our steps towards the better future. We have to remember very well what happened in the past, and we don't have ever to forget the last 10 years and how the Egyptian police was targeted, and how hurt the infrastructure, the logistics had happened. And now, having said that, they have been able to rebuild themselves again, setting new strategies, sacrificing for this country, doing their efforts. So it's very important. And what happened yesterday during the event was very iconic. The event was very well set up, and the speeches were very well addressed.
And to the point.
Yes, exactly. They were not long, they were not short, they were just to the point, and highlighting the importance of recognition of the martyrs and the people who got injured in operations. This is something, it's very important for
the documentaries.
Yes, the documentary was very amazing. It was very well set up, and it touched, I think, all the hearts of the innocent people in Egypt, because the kids of the martyrs were talking out of their hearts. One of which said that he didn't see his father because he was in his mother's. His mother was still pregnant with him when he passed away. Yeah. Others said that they would love to talk to their parent even in dreams. I think it was very touching, and at the same time, this is the truth. These guys, these people, these young kids, have lost a very important part of their life, the father, or and being able to understand that this sacrifice, that they are not having a father to live with, has happened for the country, and it's accepted and appreciated, and saying that yes, we know that he's in a better place now, and God will give him all that he deserves. All of these coming from this very young kids is very
here
touching.
I should say, or I want to highlight 2 points. Number one, all the boys want to be also police officers. Sure. When they grow up, just to continue what their dads did. Yes. The second, when it comes to those children, they were speaking about their dads as if they are alive, as if they are still there watching them, and to speak with them, to tell them what they are doing. Of course, this is a big role by the mothers or the widows of the martyrs, but when you look at their faces, you don't feel that they are lacking something. They are missing their dads, but they lack nothing. True?
But they lack nothing because of 2 things, and I think that we have here to give a great recognition for the families of the martyrs, and the wives and the parents of each officer and each sergeant and soldier in the police and in the army, because this is the backbone that these people are counting on. So the police officer or whoever work on this law enforcement entities cannot leave his house and go with the concept that he might 50% not come back, and he might die in an operation, unless he feels that he have a strong family behind him, a strong wife that will take care of his family in the future. This is one important side. The other important side is the country.
Yes.
Because when these kids feel that their mother is well taken care of from the country, the country didn't forget their parents. If they have any problem, they have an institution to go back to. They can never replace the father, but at least they can give some kind of support to the family, not just financial,
to
but
remember
even
that the very first day in school, there is a representative from the ministry who is going to come and to go with the kid. Yes. For the very first day, as if his father is still there. Yes. And there is a boy said a very important message, or sent a very important message even to the people. My dad told me that he is going to defend the duties of some people, but he never returned back. Meaning that this boy is going to remember all the time that defending the rights of people is something which I can easily sacrifice my life for. If you want to
This is
elaborate on
how
that.
you teach the young generation the integrity and the dignity. What the meaning of a pride, what the meaning of protecting a family, protecting a land, protecting your country, protecting your neighbors. These are what they call things that has to be embedded in the Egyptian personality, as it have been always been. The Egyptians are courage. They have the courage. They have the integrity. They have the pride, and they do protect it. Adding to this, if you are working in the police or in the army, you are trained, and it gets in your blood that it's very easy to sacrifice your life for a colleague, for a country, for something that you believe in, and you have all the pride to do so.
Yeah, and the way President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi deals with the families of the martyrs, and how this is shown in front of us. The role of such ceremonies to send this message, and to just to say that the police officers are part and parcel of the people. Their parents or their families are the families of us.
Yes.
So we are one by the end of the day.
This is exactly true, and as you said, there is no differentiation between the ranks,
Yes.
because he's a human being that he lost his life for the country. And the good thing about the other good thing about yesterday event is that it was like an occasion to show what the Ministry of Interior did through the last year, and what kind of developments that's happening in the country as well. So when you look in the event in general, you find that it has been divided into messages from the young kids about their families, messages from the president, the head of the state, saying that we recognize and we appreciate and we continue to support, and at the same time messages from the Ministry of Interior about what efforts that they have been successful to do in the last year in operations, and what kind of cases they did against terrorists, drug
Terrorism
dealers.
is another story, and this is one of the main things which we should highlight or shed more light on, if you permit me. Because fighting terrorism, it's not only outside our borders. It's outside our borders, inside our borders, and it's not the mission of the army alone, but the mission of the army, of the police forces, of the security personnel as a system. True?
True, and if I may add, it's the responsibility of each individual in the country.
Great. But here, how do you see spreading awareness with the operations made by the police forces and what they are doing? Whether here, I should not, for example, skip talking about Al-Ikhtiyar series or the Choice series. The actors were present yesterday, and they sent other messages. They were received by the president, and I think it's another push to have more and more works of arts like that, to fill this gap between what people may think and what's really happening on the ground.
To tell the truth, there are a lot of sacrifices, there are a lot of efforts that have been done and will continue being done from all the people who work on the law enforcement, especially the police from my... But this cannot be delivered to the people. The people will not know about it unless we have the two arms. Media, like what you're doing, which is very much appreciated, and at the same time, the film productions and the series and all of this. L'Ikhtiyar, as you mentioned, has delivered a lot of insights about people who has been living with their families, and the end of the story, they die because of their mission. But how this happened, what his role in life, what did he do, the whole human part of the story is delivered through actors, and this what the actors mentioned yesterday in their very short speech in front of the president, that their role is to make people see how these heroes have reached this stage, what's their life has been, what's
how
the
they have lived.
Yes.
Yeah. Here I should see the opportunity and to know your impression as an expert, knowing well what's going on the ground. When you've seen the series, have you said, oh, they did it great, this is exactly what's going on? You were really impressed with the way they were introducing the real characters who already lived among us, or what?
It's at the end, it's a drama that shows a lot of sides of the story. So you see the personal relation between the officer and his family, his wife, his father, and you see his relation with his colleagues, the training that he has, the way he received the instructions about the operations, and the way he conveyed the message to his team, the encouragement and the amount of boosting in the morale that he gave to his people. All of these are very much true, because at the end of the day, it's a belief. If you believe that you have a mission or you have a responsibility to deliver, then you can convey the message to your team and you can do what you believe in. And this has been very clear in the two series of Ikhtiyar, and I believe that there will be a third one, and I think a lot of the people are waiting to see it.
I am included, by the way. Yeah.
These are heroes' stories,
Yes.
heroes' stories, and,
Yes.
and this is very important, as we were just mentioning, for so many reasons. First, you know how these people are living, what's their stories. Second, you deliver a great message to the coming generation. Third, you keep their memories alive.
And role models.
Exactly.
We
You
do
build
have
the
role
role model.
models.
Yes.
Yes. Sir, we are witnessing sustainable development in all domains, in all sectors. The police sector is also modernized, witnessing development, and the president himself was very keen to attend even the tests of the new cadets,
Yes.
receiving them, and to even discuss the surroundings, to see how they think, and to know well that what they are going to receive in the police academy is going to build on what they have already. They are going to receive a lot of studies, a lot of information, and they are going to implement it on the ground as soon as they are graduated. How do you see these steps, sir?
This is very, as you said, the country is developing, and at the same time our enemies are developing in trying to harm us. So we have to keep up the development fast, and especially in the police forces, to be able to protect what's happening as success stories on the ground. To be able to reach this, you have several aspects that you have to work on, one of which, or the main part of it, is the human factor. So that's why, as you mentioned, President Sisi visit the police academy during the time where they select the candidates to be working with the police. It's not a luxurious job, so you have to have the best candidates, whether we talk about physical or psychological or mental. And to be able to do this, they go through a lot of exercises and a lot of exams till they have the last session, which is the interview. And during the interview, the most important part, as you kindly mentioned now, was the discussion about how you see the threats, what do you see risks that the country is going through, and how we can protect it. So you can feel that this person has the understanding, has the knowledge, and at the same time he is balanced in his reactions. He wants to be serving the country with pride, because this is the game of it. This is the name of it. It's police officers don't take huge salaries, and even if I take huge salary, it doesn't even be I mean, his life is much higher value than this. So it's not a job, it's a mission or a belief. So when you talk about the people who will join the police academy or going to be police officers, they have to be very well selected. And as you said, the whole game is not just about human beings, it's about human beings, technology, development, strategies, and this has been very well clearly addressed in the presentations yesterday.
How much money I should give a man just to go and to defuse a bomb?
Exactly.
Or to go in an exchange of fire, not knowing if he is going to turn back one piece or no.
This is very important because in the time of fire, let's say, and this is a very good example, everybody is running on away, and officers and sergeants who work on this are going into the other direction. So people are escaping from the fire. Police are going to the fire to protect the
So
others.
even if there is a terrorist attack, we are not going to forget General Mohammed al-Batran of Wadi Natrun prison by the events before the 25th of January revolution. We are not going to forget General Nabil Farag in Kurdasa. There are names who proved all the time that they are going to continue this way, and they are going to carry their weapons till the very last moment of their lives. How do you see the way we are introducing such examples to the kids in specific?
No, that's very important. And as we said, that delivering such messages in the police day and recognizing the martyrs, recognizing the people who got injuries in operation, all of this gives the message that the country is very keen to recognize the people who spend the effort for it, and they sacrifice for it.
Sir, also including the army and the police in many social activities like Decent Life Initiative, for example, and knowing well that they can play a big part in making this presidential initiative as a story of success. How do you see involving those sectors in such social activities?
It was mentioned yesterday in the event that all the cities or all the governorates that are covered by the first part of the initiative has been developed from the security sector to reach the level that's required. And as you know, the people deal with the police in several incidents. Most of them are related to services. So if you talk about traffic, you talk about ID production, passport production, and all of these items. And these institutions has been developed heavily, and this has been mentioned yesterday, even with the videos and of the new locations. Modernization of these institutions and going into the best level of service that the person can have. This is very important, because he feels that he takes the service with dignity, with respect, and he feels that he's well served from the police.
General Youssef, if you permit me, we do have a phone call.
Please.
We are very much delighted to have with us via phone Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawi, Professor of International Relations. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, and good morning to General Dr. Ehab Youssef, and to all Egyptians.
I am lucky to have both of you today
Dr.
in this
Ibrahim.
very
Wish you all the
special
best.
episode
Thank
of
you so
our
much.
breakfast show. Sir, we are speaking, of course, about the ceremony which took place yesterday, marking the 70th Police Day. And I'd like to ask you about an important point which was highlighted yesterday in the speech of Minister of Interior, General Mahmoud Tawfiq, about the human rights concept and how much it's highlighted, it's respected, and it's considered one of the priorities of the police sector.
Well, what a good point to start with in my call today, to talk about human rights and the very positive steps that have been taken recently from the government, from the Ministry of Interior, and of course under the full guidance of the political leadership to emphasize the importance of human rights and this time in Egypt, in this critical time of the not only the Egypt as a state, but also the Middle East area and all African countries and the whole world indeed. Mm-hmm. We can say easily that Egypt has gone enough steps in terms of deepening the comprehensive concept of human rights. When we talk about development, massive development in every level and everywhere in the country. When we talk about stability of the region, when we talk about security of the whole Egyptian geography or geographic limits. And we have also to keep in mind that security is not just safeguarding individuals in the streets and their belongings, but also It's a very strong pillar of investment of any development, any economic development. So what have been said yesterday is a real embodiment of the positive progress that have taken place in Egypt in recent years, that's signaling these steps. Actually, we have also to recall the words of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in many times about human rights and about the specifications of the concept of human rights, and it has to be suited to our circumstances and our practical needs. And that would have been exactly translated in recent years in Egypt.
Yeah.
When we talk about the development, we talk about employment, when we talk about economy and growth rates, we talk about many aspects of changing the lives of Egyptians, housing, slums, and changing realities of millions of Egyptian individuals who are living in very low levels of human level standards. Now they move to much better places for living.
Yeah.
And so it's really very important to recall all of these things together today as we are celebrating the Police Day.
Yeah. Sir, if you go on YouTube and find how many people watched the videos of what happened yesterday, you feel that these celebrations, these ceremonies really have a big role in feeding our sense of patriotism and sense of loyalty to the country, sense of belonging, particularly to the new generations, if you permit me to say, or if you agree with me.
Of course, I totally agree with you. And this is very much linked to changing so many harsh realities that have been existing for long years and have changed diametrically in the last few years to the positive side of these issues. Mm-hmm. Of course, people, we have to say confidently that the level of awareness of Egyptians today very much higher than it was before. They know by heart today that security and police forces, the Ministry of Interior was founded to serve people, was founded to secure society, was founded to support investment and support economic growth, which is a very beneficiary. Everyone is very beneficiary of such changes. Yes. And if we look into these mega projects that are everywhere in Egypt today, yes, it is dedicated to individuals. So at the end, when you have stability, when you have security, you can do whatever you want as a state because you already have the apt environment for change, for positive change. And that's what people realize today.
Yes. Well, Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawi, Professor of International Relations, thank you very much for your input, sir. Have a very good day. While returning back to General Ehab Youssef, my dear guest, live here in the studio. Sir, when we were speaking yesterday via phone, if you remember, I was speaking about empowering women, and that I was really happy to see that there are female police officers who are practicing their noble missions on the ground, and we see them often more than usual. And I think that the coming period is going to witness the increase of our female officers. If you want to elaborate or comment on that.
Yes, empowering women is part of President Sisi's strategy since he was candidate for the presidency in 2014. And when you look into the police sector, yesterday the videos shows that women has been integrated into the fighting and operational training, not just working on the administrative side. So we saw officers yesterday on very high level of training, shooting, and operational capabilities, which is very important. And as you said, women is half the society, yeah, and they have a great role to do even in the police operation forces.
General Youssef, permit me to ask you about the same question I asked Dr. Al-Ghazawi regarding this concept of human rights. Now we can easily watch on TV a visit by a human rights activist to the prisons, and how we do deal with prisoners. And even yesterday, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi issued a decree, a pardon for a number of prisoners not to serve the rest of their sentences, particularly celebrating the 70th Police Day. How do you see this, and how do you see the state's way of dealing with this concept?
Human rights is a very diverse issue, and a lot of countries look to it from different angles. Egypt see that we have to work on human rights more, and that's why we have a new strategy for human rights that has been announced last year. We have the new council for the new National Council for Human Rights that have been established also. So there are a lot of aspects that we have to work on, but we don't have to forget ever that we are working, or Egypt has worked heavily on the development of housing, development of medical systems, development of education. There are a lot of aspects that the country has worked on from human rights point of view. Still, the people who want, or the countries or the organization who want to accuse you or that you are not working on the human rights file on a professional level can still have their accusations. But Egypt always respond on
it's
the
our
right
sovereignty.
Yes.
And this is what I wanted to hear, or to point at, that we are sending a message that we do care and we do have the concept of human rights as a first priority, but on our own, and not to let anyone interfere into our internal affairs. True?
True, but there are a lot of talks in this area, because this is very important. There are international standards. The point is how you set your priorities. If you go to the man of the street on 2013 and say human rights say that you can express whatever you want, while he's seeing that the Muslim Brotherhoods are trying to kill him in the street, he will say, no, I don't want to express now, I want to protect my life and my family. So when you look into the man of the street, their priorities are set according to protecting of life, capabilities of getting income, education, health, and then we can talk about other political activities. The foreign countries see that the political activities is the most important part, but this is because they are stable, they are having all the aspects for the normal life, whether we talk
Here
about
I
education.
should quote the President's statements.
Yes.
He urged Egyptians to unite, stand together to preserve the country's national character without interfering in the affairs of others or compromising on the rights of all Egyptians.
Exactly. You're totally right. Yeah, I mean, this is the President's speech yesterday, and I think that we have to continue delivering the message, and this is the role of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They have to convey this message to the international community, because Egypt cannot live in isolation without dealing with the other countries, and at the same time the other countries has to understand Egypt's mission and vision during this period. It's a very challenging part, because when you look into Egypt from all sides and the geographic location, we have threats from everywhere. We have a population that's increasing heavily, and we have shortage in cash.
Sir, you're reading my mind, because this is the other part of the President's speech which I wanted to stress on. Egypt is destined to live in the middle of a turbulent region.
Exactly.
That was, and still, and this is very important, the epicenter of international events in which interests, conflict, balances intervene and alliances change.
Exactly. That's why you cannot take one aspect of life, which is, let's say, human rights, and you evaluate it on its own. You cannot evaluate the human rights in Germany like you do in Egypt, while they have financial resources, capabilities in education, capabilities in health care, and they don't have regional threats. This doesn't mean that we forget human rights, but it has to be balanced. So when you look into Egypt, as the President said yesterday, it's a land of turmoil from every country surrounding it.
Yes.
And at the same time, with the heavily increase of population, and the shortage of cash, the shortage of economy internationally. The economy is getting worse, and inflation is getting high everywhere. All of these are challenges to be able to build the country for a better future. And at the same time, you have to continue building it, because you cannot stop. I mean, Egypt cannot stop
And we will
on
not
building
stop,
its role,
and
whether
we are
internally
capable of building the new republic.
Yes.
True?
Sorry?
We are capable of building the new republic.
No, that's too much true. I mean, the last 7 years shows that we have did a lot of successes, and I think that in the coming period we'll have more successes to do.
Well, I really enjoyed my discussion, sir.
It's a great pleasure.
Happy National Police Day, and we wish that we are going to continue celebrating such wonderful moments, and to expose and to shed more light on our role models. We were very much delighted to have with us Dr. Ehab Youssef, our strategic security and risk management expert. Thank you, sir.
It's a great pleasure, and congratulations for all Egyptians and police officers and sergeants and everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
By this, we come to the end of this very special episode of our breakfast show. Stay tuned on Nile TV International. Always for more updates and for more details, please log on to www.nileinternational.net. Many thanks for watching. This was Nermeen Abdurrahman.